Hi everybody, I'm Grey Goose, and today I want to talk to you about changes that are incoming for two of the most popular support items to date, the Old Philosopher's Stone and Kage's Lucky Pick. So we're going to jump right into it, and in Season 3 there were three core support items. First up was the Philosopher's Stone. 7 health regeneration, 9 mana regeneration, and of course the 5 additional gold every 10 seconds passive. This nice little thing costs you 700 gold, almost a must-have for any sustain heavy, any mana using support really. Then there was the Ruby Sightstone, which was and probably will be a very core item on basically every support. It gives you bonus HP and free wards. What more do you want as a support? For a price of 1,550 gold, in that is of course included the regular Sightstone at 950 gold that already gives you up to 2 wards from this item at once. Now, I don't think too much is going to change in the way that supports buy this item, since the new ward mechanic works the same as the Ruby Sightstone, so you can only have a maximum of 3 wards out anyway, and then the Ruby Sightstone is the cheapest way to achieve that. So I think this is still going to be a very core item, even in Season 4. Last, and a little bit least, is Kage's Lucky Pick. With 25 ability power and the 5 additional gold every 10 seconds, but no other stats for a whopping 765 gold, this was often a very expensive item for supports to get, and more of a situational buy if you were doing very well on an AP heavy support. So Annie or Zyra, if you were doing well, if you were getting fed in the lane, you may have wanted to pick this up, but generally, as Nami, as Leona, not gonna happen. So how will these two items be changed? First off, Philosopher's Stone will be renamed to Nomad's Medaillon. And we're gonna write in and see how that's changed. First of all, the build path has changed. Before, out of Philosopher's Stone, you could build a multitude of items, including Elace's Miracle, Miko's Crucible, Ohm-Wrecker, and Shirelia's Reverie. Now this has been changed, and the only remaining build path out of the new Philosopher's Stone, out of the Nomad's Medaillon, is the icon of the Sun Disk, formerly Shirelia's Reverie. So we're going to take a look at this. There's a new item being introduced before the old Philosopher's Stone, which is now the Ancient Coin, also before called the Philosopher's Pebble on the PBE. It'll give you 5 health regeneration per 5 seconds, 3 mana regeneration per 5 seconds, and then a unique passive called Scavenger. And this is the crucial thing about the new Philosopher's Stone mechanic. It grants you 2 gold each time a nearby enemy minion dies that you didn't kill. That means your 80 carry last hits, and you get gold for it, without doing anything. This beautiful little item costs you 365 gold, which means that you can pick it up at level 1. If you got the starting gold mastery, you will even be able to pick up 2 more wards alongside with it. And that's going to be crucial, and really I believe that this or Kage's Pick, which I'll get to later, will be the starting item for most of the supports in Season 4, because it just gives you so much more bonus extra gold flowing early on, and you still have enough for those 2 wards for some early game vision. Next, you build that Ancient Coin into the Nomad's Medaillon, formerly called Philosopher's Stone. It'll give you 8 health regeneration per 5 seconds, 11 mana regeneration per 5 seconds, 2 free gold per 10 seconds, and then of course the same Scavenger passive, but with double the result. So this time it grants you 4 gold each time a nearby enemy minion dies that you didn't kill. This nice thing costs 850 gold, of course, minus the 365 that you already paid for the Ancient Coin. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the only remaining upgrade path from that is the icon of the Sun Disk, formerly called Shirelia's Reverie. This nice item gives you 20% cooldown reduction, 10 health regeneration, 15 mana regeneration, 2 free gold per 10 seconds, the same Scavenger passive with 4 bonus gold each time a nearby enemy minion dies that you didn't kill, and of course the well-known active of the Shirelia's Reverie with granting nearby allies 40% movement speed for 3 seconds on a 60-second cooldown. Overall, that thing costs a total of 2,000 gold, including the other little items. It'll build from the Nomad's Medaillon, a Fairy Charm, and the recipe itself being pretty expensive there, almost 1,000 gold, but you get a nice item out of it. Now, the second option is going to be Kage's Lucky Pick, and that's also limited from the build variety. Before, you could build Kage's Lucky Pick into Morellonomicon, into the Twin Shadows, into Wool of the Ancients, and the Shard of True Ice. Now, it will be limited to the Shard of True Ice. And taking a look at the prerequisite, of course, as I mentioned, there's also an earlier item built into this path. So Kage's pick, 10 ability power, 3 mana regeneration per 10 seconds, so a lot less than the Philosopher's Pebble slash the Ancient Coin. 2 gold per 10 seconds for free. And then the Pickpocket passive. Basic attacks against champions grant 4 gold up to once every 10 seconds. Attacking a minion disables this passive for 10 seconds. So this is, as the Pickpocket name already says, basically the same thing what already exists in the form of a mastery today. However, on a higher cooldown. The Pickpocket Mastery is, I do believe, a 4-second cooldown. This one has a 10-second cooldown on it. And it gets disabled if you hit minions. But it still gives you 4 gold for every basic attack against an enemy champion. If you're a ranged support, that's all you're going to be doing. You're going to be A, casting spells against the enemy champion, B, hitting the enemy champion. You're not going to be purposely hitting the CS anyway. So then it still gives you some bonus ability power, some bonus mana regeneration, and more free gold per 10 seconds. Very, very nice. Of course, also only costs 365 gold, so you can pick it up at level 1 plus the 2 words. Very nice laning item. Out of this, you will build Kage's Lucky Pick. It'll double your ability power to plus 20, double your mana regeneration to plus 7, double the passive gold per 10 seconds to 4, and then add the Spell Thief passive. Which is basically the same thing as the Pickpocket passive, but it includes spells now as well. So even if you only hit a spell onto the enemy champion, you will get 8 gold for that, for free, up to once every 10 seconds. Costs 850 gold minus the 365. And out of this then, the build options, as I mentioned, also limited now to the Shard of True Ice. Shard of True Ice, 50 ability power. That's quite a chunk. 10 mana regeneration per 5 seconds. 4 free gold per 10 seconds. And then the Spell Thief passive, of course, which we already had on Kage's Lucky Pick, with 8 gold up to once every 10 seconds. And then the reworked active of Frost Nova. Slows target enemy and all nearby enemies' movement speed by 50% for 2 seconds, 60-second cooldown. Total cost also 2,000 gold. So the same as the icon of the Sun Disk, the old Chevalier's Reverie. Both of these build paths very, very similar. First item 365 gold, second item 850 gold, and then the final finished upgrade 2,000 gold. Now you're going to have to think about which one to get. So, which one do I want? The Nomad's Medaillon has several advantages for certain types of supports. Supports that need extra sustain, that are melee and thus cannot auto-attack often, that need additional engage potential, or are very utility heavy and not that damage focused. They will love this item, and also, of course, the icon of the Sun Disk that builds out of it. To mind, for me, come Leona, Taric, Alistar. All 3 of these need a lot of sustain. Leona, especially the health rate regeneration, as the worst thing that can happen to a Leona is getting poked down in lane to the point where she cannot afford to engage because she die instantly. So the extra HP regeneration on that Philosopher's Stone going to be very, very nice for her. Taric, Alistar, both of them are going to run pretty low on mana pretty quickly if they start spamming their spells mid to late game. And really, the role these 3 champions fulfill is not to burst someone, is not to lay down extra damage, it's to keep them under control as much as possible. Their role is healing and CC. And that's what they will be able to do all the better with the extra 20% cooldown reduction, the regenerations, and of course the extra movement speed bonus in order to get themselves into the fight. If Leona's not in the fight, she can't do anything. The Chevalier's Reverie will not only help her herself get in there, but also help her entire team engage. Then there's, of course, Kage's Lucky Pick. And this is going to be the item more for the ability-focused supports that can auto-attack a lot as they're ranged, that need additional CC possibly, especially in the late game, that are AP heavy with good scaling and thus deal high damage. To mind come Zyra, Annie, and Victor. Victor, in my opinion, going to be one of the most powerful supports in Season 4. He has everything you need. He has poke, CC, a lot of damage, and his augmented item will just be very, very cost efficient for him at early levels already, giving him a huge bonus. And Zyra and Annie, of course, towards the end of Season 3, we already saw them to rise to huge popularity, and this is only going to make them stronger and stronger. They get a lot of free, well, basically free ability power, and then with a very cost-effective build path, and it'll give them a lot of gold as their auto-attack ranges are high. They have abilities that they consistently can land on enemy champions as well. So I don't think for these two champions they're going to get pretty close to the 10-second cooldown rule, that they get one ability or auto attack in every 10 seconds onto an enemy champion. Could be manageable. And then they have a huge gold flow for themselves. So really, between these two items to choose, you have to ask yourself a very important question. What is your role in the game as a support here? Are you the utility guy that's there to stun and peel and help your team engage with the additional speed boost or run? Or are you a champion, a support, that can also lay down a lot of damage, that not only has crowd control, but also has a lot of burst that can basically take a champion out of the fight at the very, very start? And in the end, it's all up to you which role you want to play, which item you want to get, and what you want to do for your team in the game. But you can only get one of these items, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Sorry about that. You can only get one. Sucks, I know. You may think, why can't I get both? Trust me, you will have enough gold flow with just one of them. And this sort of limits you into a role, I guess, since you're kind of limited to the sustain or the AP. But I'm very interested to see how this develops the playstyle of the various supports and what other support champions could get popular. As I mentioned, Victor, in my opinion, is a support champion that will rise to power in Season 4, and there are others that are just waiting to be discovered. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope this helped at least a little bit in understanding the changes that are coming in for these two items. I will be doing more of these info videos. I will be casting a couple of games that I'll be uploading onto my YouTube channel as well. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again soon.